Bezrat Hashem, tonight we're going to have a beautiful lecture. We want to talk about a very special topic that everybody wants to know about. So hopefully you will leave this door tonight a little bit more educated. Bezrat Hashem, after the shiur we're going to give time for questions. Please try not to raise your hand while I speak. There's a big crowd. Not everybody wants to hear all your questions. And Bezrat Hashem, I promise you that after the lecture we'll give time for questions. You can ask me whatever you want. Should we wait for the guys in the back? Tov. So the topic we chose for tonight is about dreams. What are dreams? Why do we have dreams? What should we learn out from the dreams? What's the purpose of the dreams? And more than that, about our Mazal. Now Mazal is not the luck that we have in the casino. That's not Mazal. Mazal, you translate it as luck. But we're not talking about how to beat the roulette. And Bezrat Hashem will see the connection with the Mazal and the dreams. And like I mentioned, after the shiur, Bezrat Hashem will give time for questions. You can ask whatever you want. Now a lot of people want to know, what's the purpose of a dream? What is a dream? Why do we have a dream? Everybody wants to interpret the dreams. So first we have to understand a very basic thing, is that dreams are real. Dreams do have messages in them. And we see that the Torah took its time to give us a few examples that there are such things as dreams. And we see one of them is when Yaakov Avinu ran away from Esav and he went to Haran. Then on the way he stopped and he had his famous dream where he's dreaming about a ladder. And in the ladder, angels are going up and down, and so forth. There's much more details in the dream. The Torah doesn't go into details into the dream. But right away, the Torah is already talking about the concept of a dream. After that, we see another part in the Torah that it's talking about Paro, that wakes up and had a dream. Of course, he wants to know what's the interpretation of it. Before even Paro has a dream, then the two ministers that were sitting with Yosef HaTzadik had a dream. Yosef HaTzadik had dreams. We have many places in the Torah that it's talking about dreams. And the Torah took its time to explain to us and for us to understand that there's a reason and there's information behind the dream. That's why the Torah takes the time to explain that every time somebody had in the Torah a dream, then right away after that was an interpretation. And we see that in the interpretation, there's usually a prophecy. Now a lot of people are very curious about the details of the dream. So first of all, and most important, we need to understand that there are four types of dreams. There are the dreams that you dream right when you fall asleep. And I'm sure everybody experiences that sometimes you put your head down, you close your eyes, you sleep for about 3 seconds, and you wake up like, wow, I had such a long dream. And it was only 3 seconds. The dreams that you have in that situation are completely nonsense. It's just thoughts that you have accumulated in your mind. There's no reason, no meaning, no nothing. Then you have the dreams that you have right in the beginning when you fall asleep. Because your sleep is divided in a couple stages. The first part of your sleep is you're just slowly falling asleep. Then you have the main part of your sleep. And then towards the end of your sleep, you sleep extremely deep. Right before you wake up, that's the most deepest sleep. That's why professional robbers, they come to rob the house around 4 or 5 in the morning. They don't do it at 11, they don't do it 2. They do it very early in the morning, right before dawn starts. And there's a mystical explanation for that, which Bezrat Hashem will get to that too. But the dreams that you have right when you fall asleep are nonsense, complete nonsense. The dreams that you have throughout the night in the beginning are also nonsense. All the thoughts that are running in your mind the entire day are collected in some type of a spiritual database in your thoughts. And while you sleep, since your thoughts are constantly running, like a computer, so the thoughts in the database are being processed. Now, to kind of understand a little bit more about the concept of dream, you have to understand a very basic thing, that the soul is very, very spiritual. The soul is a spiritual being that we cannot understand even what it means, the soul, because the soul doesn't have a shape, it doesn't have a color, it doesn't have size, but it's, on the other hand, unbelievably intelligent and capable to do things that we can't even imagine. Now, a lot of people think that a soul is like this little Casper, you know, with white holes here, and it's like, whoo! But that's not the reality. We don't even know how a soul looks, because the soul doesn't have a shape. But the soul is so holy that it cannot interact with this world. In order for the soul to interact with the world, only a piece of the soul comes down. Each and every one of us that's carrying a soul, a very small piece is in the body. The soul is built from 5 levels. The highest level is called Yechidah. Yechidah comes from the word Yichud, unity, not Yechid. Yechid is only one, that's the Kadosh Baruch Hu. But the word Yechidah comes from the word Yichud, like a couple after they get married. Some congregations, they have the custom that they go into the room, and it's called the Yichud room, where they become one. So this piece of the neshama that is called Yechidah is a piece of the Kadosh Baruch Hu. What is called Chelek Elokah, a piece of the Kadosh Baruch Hu that is carved out of the Kadosh Baruch Hu and is given to you as a possession. This is the Yechidah. The Yechidah is the highest level of the soul. It has nothing to do with this world. Very few tzaddikim, righteous people, are able to reach to the level of Yechidah. It has nothing to do with us. Most likely we'll never have any connection to that level. Later on, Be'ezrat Hashem, when we talk about the Mazal, we're going to see how it's connected dafka to the Yechidah, because the Yechidah is the source and the core of our neshama. And to kind of understand it, it's like a country that sends an ambassador to the UN. So pieces of your neshama is like an ambassador that you send out. It's not the actual source. And the Yechidah is a piece with the Kadosh Baruch Hu, and it's one with the Kadosh Baruch Hu, coming from the word Yichud. It's constantly connected to the Shem. And it's sitting in the headquarters. Then the next level of our soul is called Chaya. Now Chaya in Hebrew is an animal, but this is talking about a total different type of a level of the soul. The terminology in Kabbalah is calling the Chaya Tzelem. Tzelem is an image. How we see in Sefer Bereshit that it says, B'tzelem Elokim Nivra Adam, in the image of God the man was created. If we should somehow, Chas v'Shalom, try to imagine a shape for the Kadosh Baruch Hu, it would be the image of a man. That's why it says, B'tzelem Elokim, in the image of God the man was created. So technically, if we should somehow give God an image, he will have a head, he will have hands, he will have a body, he will have legs. That's why when you read Patach Eliyahu from Tikkunei HaZohar, most congregations, they have the custom of reading it in the morning. Some congregations read it on Erev Shabbat. But if you read the Patach Eliyahu, he explains in very detail how God manifests himself and operates in the world through an image that would look like a human being, that has hands, that has a head. That's why when it manifests into this world, that's how we get our shape. That's why we have hands, that's why we have fingers, that's why we have a head with eyes and a mouth. Nothing is by chance. There wasn't sitting there a graphic designer in the heavens and, oh, let me make some ears. What do you think about this, God? So, we get our shape because the godly figure has a shape. And God dresses himself in a tzelem, in a image. So when he comes to the prophets and reveals himself, they can relate with something. That's why we're not allowed to have what's called a tzelem. Tzelem is a statue of a human being. That's why the non-Jews, for example, they have their God is in the shape of a tzelem, of a human being. We're not allowed to do that. We're not allowed to put a shape of a human being in a synagogue or in the Beit HaMikdash. Why? Because we cannot have a replica of the Kadosh Baruch Hu. So this level of the neshama that is called chaya, this is what's called in English aura. Or makif, a surrounding light. It goes around the core of the neshama, the yechidah, and it surrounds it, and it gives it some type of a shape. Then comes the lower level of the soul that is called neshama, which if you want to translate it in English, it's soul, but soul is a very general word. The neshama that comes down into our body, maybe a few percent of the neshama is in the body. Now we can't say in percent because the neshama doesn't have a size, so saying percent will not make any it's not going to make, doesn't make sense. But a piece of the neshama is in the body. Part of the neshama is in Shamayim, part of the neshama can be in Gan Eden, a piece of the neshama can be in Gehenom, a piece of the neshama can be wandering in the world. Our neshama is scattered out in many different places. There are some cases that one neshama can go into 3 bodies. But the neshama is the first level of the soul that actually starts interacting with this world. Now the neshama is a very holy being, it cannot relate with this world. So the neshama has to get dressed in another level that is called ruach. Ruach, you can translate it as spirit. Ruach is what enlivens the body. And everything has a ruach. Even an animal has a ruach. Even a phone has a ruach. I'm not joking. Everything that comes alive to the world has to have a ruach, a spirit. Something spiritual that will enliven it. Because God creates the world, He takes something very spiritual and He transforms it into something physical, which the only way for us to somehow relate with such an action is you can take a gas, take now oxygen, and take hydrogen, and put them together. You put 2 of the hydrogen and 1 of the oxygen, then you have pitom something, you have water. So we can somehow relate how you can take something that is not tangible and with a certain process transform it into something tangible and that you can see it. So the way God created the world is for us to relate with godly concepts. So God takes something very, very spiritual and He transforms it into something physical. But that physical thing is a dead thing, kind of like a piece of wood. That's why we see in the Torah that first the Kadosh Baruch Hu took all the ashes, all the afar, the sand, when He wanted to create man, Adam HaRishon, He made sure that He took afar, ashes, from all over the world. That whenever the man is going to be ready to go back to the afar, into the land, wherever you're going to put him, it's going to be absorbed. So He took afar from every little place in the world. And He took it together, and like little kids that they make little piles of dirt, then He took a little bit of water, a little bit of dew, He made a whole like kube, and then there was just a body. From here we learn why the mitzvah of a woman to do challah, where it's coming from. Because how do you make challah? You take powder, you take flour, which is powder. It's millions and millions of these little grains, microscopic grains. And then you mix with it water, you make the dough, you let it rise, then you make the shape. But since you're saying a bracha and you're separating a piece of the dough, you're putting in it the ruach. You're putting in something holy in it, something spiritual in it. It's not just a piece of bread. And then when you bake it, that's what gives the family its sustenance. In the olden days, the woman will make the challah on Friday and they will eat it the whole week. Here, just go to the bakery and you just buy, a challah. But from that's where the woman got the mitzvah of challah, because she's creating the challah, putting something holy in it, a ruach, and she's able to give it to the family, and the family will get sustenance from that. But everything in this world has a chomer, a material, and then has to come in a ruach to enliven it. That's why He says the first Kadosh Baruch Hu created the man, so He took the dough, the sand and the dew, and He created the shape, and then He says, Vayipach ba'apiv nishmat chayim. He had to blow into him the neshama. So how do you blow something? Take a balloon, and you take a deep breath and you blow in. So technically you would think you are blowing in air, but if you would put now anything on your lips, it will blow it with the air in. So the Kadosh Baruch Hu basically blew the neshama into the body. But what enlivens the body is the ruach. It's a lower level of the neshama. That's why I said that everything has a ruach. Because in order for it to be alive, it has to have a ruach in it. That's why the Ari Kadosh, the holy Arizal, he says everything in the world has a nefesh, has some type of a soul. Because it has to be created somehow. Now after the ruach, the lowest level of the neshama is called nefesh. And the nefesh is the lowest part of the soul, and that's what comes and interacts with this world. We are mainly dealing with the level of nefesh. When we are born, we are given the nefesh. After 13 years, if we did what we're supposed to do as a child, and 12 years for a woman, then you get the level of ruach. And then if you do what you're supposed to do, meaning follow the Torah and the mitzvot, at the age of 20 you get the level of neshama. The reality is that a fraction of people actually do get it. Because from 13 for a man and 12 for a girl, till the age of 20, 90% of the cases they don't really do what they really need to do, so they don't just get the level of neshama, they have to really work hard for that. And what does it mean to get the level? Is like a promotion. You go for a job, they tell you, okay, if you work now for 2 years and you're good, we'll give you a promotion. You'll get a better room with a window, a parking spot, and a raise. But you have to work hard for it, and if you don't work hard for it, then you lose the promotion. So we're also here to elevate our neshama and our soul. But the way how we interact with the world is only in the level of nefesh. And we have already two pieces of the nefesh. We have a godly soul, what's called nefesh elokit, and we have an animal soul. This is called a nefesh habehemit. Now it's called a nefesh habehemit not because it's an animal, behema is an animal, rather because its character traits is like an animal. It wants to eat, all it cares about is eating, sleeping, procreating, resting. There's no limits, there's no values. I mean, a cow doesn't have value. It just stands there, it eats all day long, then it sleeps, then it eats, then it sleeps, then it procreates. It's like kind of on a machine. This is the character trait of an animal. This is the character trait of the nefesh habehemit. That what pulls you to eat, to sleep, to enjoy this world. And on the other side you have the nefesh elokit, the godly soul. That's the part of the nefesh that constantly wants you to do something holy. It wants you to do a good deed, it wants you to help another person, it pulls you to go to pray, makes you learn, wants you to do mitzvot, and constantly there's a fight between the two nefeshot. Now in order for the nefesh that gets dressed into the ruach, that gets dressed into the neshama to operate in this world, it needs garments. Spiritual garments, of course. And to kind of relate with the concept, in this world, everybody's dressed. Originally, Adam and Chava were naked. They were just walking in the garden naked. They didn't see anything wrong with that. But then when they ate from the tree of knowledge and they got a little bit wiser, then they felt naked and then God dressed them. But in our generation, in many other generations, the garments, they come to, first of all, cover us. Who wants to walk around naked? I mean, some people have this, you know, they like going naked. But normal human being doesn't want to be naked. He feels vulnerable and uncovered. And more than that, the garment comes to protect me. If it's cold, it warms me up. More than that, the garment shows my status. If I'm wearing like real expensive clothes, people say, oh, he must be an important man. He's dressed real nice and mesudar. And to take that to the next level, you see that you go to a wedding, you don't go to a wedding with short pants and flip-flops. You get dressed nice, your best suit, your best dress. Why? It's an event, people look at you, you want to look at your best. You don't dress like that at home, you just throw some pajamas on you and you just walk like a shmate. Why? Because the clothes represent me. If I have to go to a very important meeting, I will come with my best suit, I get dressed all up. So for whatever reason, the garment makes me behave different. That's why when you put a costume on, you behave kind of like the costume. And you see it mainly with kids, they like getting dressed all the time. But my garment actually brings out all sorts of character traits in me. So the soul also needs garments in order to relate with the world. So the soul gets dressed into 3 garments that are broken down to thought, speech, and action. A garment that creates my thoughts, a garment that creates my speech, and a garment that creates my action. Now imagine the soul, it's not physical. So the soul cannot think, and the soul cannot talk or do any action. So while it gets dressed into this garment, it's able to operate in this level. Imagine now you're looking at this huge crane moving hundreds of thousands of tons of bricks and cement and steel, and inside there's like a little box, and this little guy is sitting in the box and he's moving these sticks, and he moves one stick over here, the whole crane turns. Moves the stick over this, the crane turns over this. He's sitting with the little sticks. And you don't see the little guy inside, you just see this massive huge crane that is lifting up a ship. The same idea is the soul in the body. The Arizal says that if you want to know the size of the soul in the body, take a hair, cut it to 1,000 pieces, take one of that, cut that to 1,000 pieces, that's the size of the soul in your body. That's how small the soul is. Now technically the soul doesn't have a size, but if you want to have some type of relation, people think that the soul is like all over me. The nefesh is all over me. The nefesh is in the blood. We read it bidyuk yesterday in Parashat Shavua. Ki ha-nefesh hu adam. So the nefesh is in the blood. The nefesh is what enlivens the body, gives the energy to the body. That's why you see that any place in the body you'll poke with a needle, blood will come out. Because the nefesh enlivens the body. Mechaye et haguf. The only place that doesn't have blood is a nail and hair. That's it. That's why there's no pain and there's no feeling. Because the nefesh is not there. But any place you poke, blood will come out. You don't need a vein. And the neshama doesn't go into the entire body. The neshama only comes to the hands and to the feet. That's why when we wake up in the morning, when we do netilat yadayim, we do it on the hands. No, we don't do it here. And we don't do it all over our body. Because when we sleep, our neshama leaves the body. So up until the risks, the neshama fills up the body. There's kedusha. So the tumah, the powers, the impurity can only grab on the hand. Once the neshama comes in, it will go all the way into the hand. So the power of impurity is only stuck on the hands. That's why you wash your hands. And that's why a lot of people, they wash their hands. They pour a lot of water on the hand. Bechlal, it says in the Gemara, you have to pour a lot of it. People are very cheap with the water. Like as if there's a drought. They put these little drops on the hand. The water has to cover the entire hand, all the fingers, everything. The right way to do it is to fill a lot of water and pour it all over your hand. The size of the cups that you use, that's exactly the size what's needed to remove the power of impurity. But we have powers of impurity on our hand, especially when we go to sleep, when we touch all sorts of things like an animal, our shoes, dirt, pieces in my body, when I go out of the bathroom, when I cut my nails. Every time that I give access to powers of impurity to suck my holiness, then I have to wash my hands. And that's how it removes it. And you have to do it 3 times. The Arizal explains that you wash your right hand, the tum'ah, the impurity jumps on your left hand. So you wash it on the left, it jumps to the right hand. And it jumps 3 times. After the 3rd time, you cancel it. That's why you have to wash 3 times. But the neshama doesn't penetrate in the entire body. You have to understand, try to imagine the neshama is the driver of the body. It's only sitting in a small place right here. The nefesh is the one that enlivens the body. And the nefesh is running in the blood. The nefesh is the vapor in the blood. If you're looking at the blood, look at a vein, you have blood running around, and the blood has some type of warmth to it. If you would able to see with a microscope, you would see that the blood is constantly bubbling. It's not just running there, it's constantly bubbling. That's why we have our body heat. That's the heat, that's the temperature that the blood constantly bubbles in our body. And like any type of liquid, from the bubbling comes vapor. The vapor, that's where the nefesh is. That's why when Cain, he wanted to kill Hevel, the Torah says he stabbed him 300 times. Because he didn't know from where the nefesh is going to come out from. So he started stabbing him all over the place. He didn't know where it's coming from. So the nefesh is in the blood. That's why by default, take a person, cut an artery or something, all the blood goes out, by default he dies. Because after a certain amount of blood goes out of the body, the majority of the nefesh leaves, it cannot stay in the body. That's why a lot of people, they faint when they lose blood. But the nefesh is running in the blood. Now, the ruach is what enlivens the body. So for the neshama to interact with this world, it has to be dressed in these garments. The easiest way to picture it is take your hand, put it in a puppet. Now you move this finger, then the hand of the puppet will move. Then you move this finger, then this hand of the puppet moves. And then you start going like this and you make a show and the whole puppet is moving. That's what the neshama does. The neshama maneuvers the body in 3 levels: thought, speech, and action. That's it. So in order for the neshama to relate with the level of thinking, it's getting dressed in the garment of thinking and it's able to control my thoughts. Same thing with the speech and same thing with actions. That's it. On the other hand, Shlomo HaMelech says, Zeh le'umat zeh bara Elokim. Hashem created the world balanced. Since Hashem created the world good, He had to create the exact same opposite, which is bad. That's how Hashem created the world. So for everything for Kedusha, there's also from impurity, for Tum'ah. So since the neshama can get dressed in the garments of thought, speech, and action, then the power of impurity can get dressed in the exact same garment, like a thief. Now the Baal Shem Tov explains that there are 2 chambers in Shamayim, that's where we get our energy, our life force. Now imagine a person sleeping in the bedroom in a hospital like this, 1 IV to this hand, 1 IV to this hand, and he's sitting like this and he's getting his medications, his minerals through the IV. If you would put in the bag of the IV poison, then it will trickle into the body and kill him. You put in the other IV vitamins or minerals, it will trickle into the vein and will enliven him. So the Baal Shem Tov explains that I have a chamber of purity and a chamber of impurity. If I channel myself to the chamber of purity, then the IV, I'm drawing only pure thoughts, only pure speech, and only pure actions. So I'm pulling energy into my body. And if I direct my energy to the chamber of impurity, then I draw the energy from the chamber of impurity, so my thoughts will be impure, my mouth, my speech will be impure, and my actions will be impure. Wherever I channel myself. So if I channel myself to the positive realm, my thoughts are only pure. I'm not going to have an impure thought. And the reality is that all day long we have impure thoughts. If I direct myself to the chamber of impurity, that's where I pull my life force. And constantly I have this battle. So I'm kind of infected by both. A little bit of good, a little bit of bad. Tzaddik is only good. Rasha is only bad. All day long, bad thoughts. All day long, cursing, lying, lashon hara. Actions, all negative. Now the neshama gets affected from that, because when I pull my life force from the chamber of purity, then the garments are pure. The neshama is dressed in a pure garment of thought, so my thought is pure. Somebody will come and tell me, hey, let's steal this. No, stealing? You out of your mind? No, it's not okay. But if the neshama is dressed now in a garment of impurity, let's steal this. Okay, you cover me, I'll go there. So right away the thoughts are how am I going to do that? So it all depends where I'm directing it. Now what happens is that constantly I'm drawing energy into my neshama, either from impurity or either from purity. And the neshama, in order to interact with the world, it needs these garments. Now, this whole intro is to explain a very basic things. That's where I start getting my dreams from. Now, I said that the first 2 types of dreams are when you fall asleep and the beginning of the night, 100% junk, nonsense. Whatever was running in your mind your whole day, what happens is the food that's in your stomach, it gets digested. Fumes from the food goes up to your brain, and they make a whole mishmash with your thoughts. That's why the Chachmei Kabbalah, the big sages of Kabbalah, they say do not eat before you go to sleep. Because what happens is that your stomach is digesting food, and then too much fume go up to the brain, and then you have nightmares, and all sorts of weird dreams, and all sorts of scary things in your dream. And you can actually invite through that all sorts of evil spirits that will get dressed into your thoughts. So better not to eat at all before you go to sleep, at least 2 hours before you sleep. But the dreams in the middle of the night are complete nonsense. Everything that your eyes saw throughout the day, all the nonsense you see on the computer, all the junk you look in the street, everything that was cooking in your brain the whole day long, that's the mishmash that's going on in your mind. So that's why the dreams, they kind of make sense. They're related to the world. You see relatives, you see friends, it's where you recognize places, but they have no meaning whatsoever to them. Now comes two other types of dreams. The type of the dream in the last part of your sleep, and the dreams right before you wake up. Now, to understand these two types of the dreams, you have to understand that when you go to sleep at night, your neshama leaves the body. The soul leaves the body. Also, the ruach leaves the body. Whatever stays in the body is a very small piece of the nefesh. That's why you see when you read Kriyat Shema al Hamitah, you finish. Well, in some of the nosachim you said in the beginning, but you say Be'adcha afkid ruchi. I'm giving the Shem my ruach, not the nefesh. The nefesh stays in the body, but a very small piece of the nefesh stays in the body. The rest of it kind of ejects out of the body. That's why a lot of people, they experience while they sleep some type of a feeling. They see, some people say, I saw my body. They feel certain things. You're saying, I was sleeping, but I felt everything around me. Sometimes the nefesh ejects out of the body. But the neshama completely leaves the body and goes up to the headquarters, to Shamayim, for three reasons. The first reason is to charge. Comes the end of the night, you go to sleep, you put your phone to charge. You charge it in the wall. Why? Because you want the next day to have full battery. Neshama goes up to Shamayim to charge. Why? Because it's tired. When you get tired at the end of the day, it's not your body that got tired. It's your soul that got tired. So you're starting to get tired and sleepy. Because technically, the body can function 2-3 days without sleep. There's no problem. The body can function on 2 hours of sleep, 1 hour of sleep. All the tzaddikim, they sleep for a couple hours. That's it. The Arizal would sleep for 2 minutes. He would sit, give a drasha, put his head down, 2 minutes, head up, okay, mamshichim, we're going. But great tzaddikim, they sleep for an hour, 2 hours. That's what they need. Why? Because the body can actually be raised and elevated to a level that it doesn't need much sleep. It's the soul that gets deflated from energy, so by default then the body becomes weak. That's why the tzaddikim, they don't get tired, because they're constantly pumping their neshama with the soul, with Torah. They're constantly pulling energy from the chamber of purity. So their body is pumped up. They don't get tired. But why I go to sleep, we're human beings, we're normal human beings, so our neshama goes up to charge, and then I get charged. Some people, they need 2 hours to charge, some people need 7 hours to charge. I know some people, they need 12 hours to charge. Unfortunately, some of them need 15 hours to charge, like a very slow charger. You know when you charge in the car, the USB is very slow, so it takes you 15 hours to charge the neshama. They're like flat on the bed, like a sack of potatoes. But some people, they have these, the fast chargers, 3 hours, they wake up, that's it, let's go. So the soul goes up to charge. Second reason why the soul goes up to, it goes up to be a little bit cleaned. Why? Because it gets a little bit dirty during the day with bad thoughts, a little bit of gossiping, here and there a sin. The soul gets a little bit dirty. That's why you see in some of the nosachim of the Kriyat Shema al Hamitah, we're asking the Kadosh Baruch Hu to clean my body, to clean my neshama. One of the reasons the soul goes up to Shamayim at night is to testify in other souls' court cases. We know that when a person dies, he goes to the heavenly court, to the Beit Din of Shamayim, and he has a trial, an 11-month trial. If he's a Rasha, 12-month trial. And during this trial, there's a prosecution that comes and says, here, he stole. Right away, they call the defense attorney. And then there's a prosecution and defense, and prosecution and defense, and there's a whole trial. Now, part of the prosecution and the defense, they subpoena witnesses. So the prosecution will say, he stole. Here I have proof. Let's call the person he stole from. And the soul says, yes, I'm sorry, he stole from me. So there's a trial going up in Shamayim. So sometimes you are called to witness and to testify in another soul's court case. More than that, and one of the most important things, the souls go up to Shamayim to write a diary. It goes up, they're giving it a piece of paper, and it writes a journal. I woke up at 7, I went to shul, and then I prayed, and then I did this, and then I ate, and I said Birkat HaMazon, and you write a journal. And the journal is 100% what happened. The soul doesn't lie. The soul doesn't make up all sorts of stories. It gives an account. Why? That after 120 years, when you go up to Shamayim, they tell you, here's your journal. Here, you wrote it. You wrote. You testified on yourself. So the soul has a lot of work going up there. That's one of the many reasons why we say Kriyat Shema al Hamitah. Because Kriyat Shema al Hamitah, you basically do tshuva, meaning that you clean your soul, that your soul can go up there clean. One of the reasons we say Kriyat Shema al Hamitah is because we surround the body with angels that protect the body. Because right now the boss went out, the owners of the home went. So the body is vulnerable, thrown on the bed. That's where the spirits, they can come in at night. Evil spirits, they can come into your body while you're sleeping because there's no protection. If you go, you have a beautiful big home, you go on vacation, if you leave the windows open, most likely you'll be robbed. You put the shades down, you lock the doors, you put the alarm, you make sure all the doors are closed. Why? Because you don't want nobody coming and robbing you. And what happens in the spiritual level? If you don't put guards around your body, comes all sorts of spirits at night and they want to rob your body because the body is soaking with holiness. Even if you did one mitzvah today, one little mitzvah, then your body is radiating with holiness. So this spirit, they want to come and bite it a little bit like a tick. Now what happens is if you don't have protection around your body, it will come into the body, take the kedusha, and in some cases we're like, hey, this is a great body. Let me hang out here. Imagine in the physical world, you go on a vacation, you leave your home open, the robbers come into the house. Instead of taking the pictures off the walls, they're like, hey, let's just hang out here. Looks like a nice home, nice TV, nice everything. Let's just hang out here. What do we need to take it with us? And then you come back from your vacation, and you walk in, and you're like, what are you doing here? It's my home. Not anymore. Now we live here. You have a problem? That's the reality. Now in this world, you call the police and you get them out. In the spiritual world, you don't call the police. You have spirits stuck in you, and they're benefiting. Because you eating mitzvot, you're providing them a lot of sustenance, and they're like, just bring it on, bring. That's why a lot of people, they get anxieties and fears and depression and sadness and all these things. The people blame it on their economy, on how much money they have in the bank, and my spouse is annoying me. No. You have all sorts of spirits in the body that they contaminate your body. That's why people mainly have fears and anxieties, because some entities in them driving them crazy. So the importance of Kriyat Shema al Hamitah is you really guard your body. You put angels around your body that they guard the body. That nothing will penetrate, nothing will come to the body. Then when you come home, come in the morning, that's it. The body's all nice, clean and protected. You see in many of the Nusachim, when we say Kriyat Shema al Hamitah, you read a certain verse. Hine mitato shel Shlomo, 60 giborim saviv la. 60 heroes. Kulam achuzei cherev. They're all standing with swords. Achuzei milchama. They're ready for war. Ish charbo al yircho mipachad balelot. Because Shlomo HaMelech had a whole story in the Gemara. How one time there was a certain demon, Ashmadai, that got dressed into him, kicked him 400 parsaot. He kicked him to China. And he got dressed into his body. And he looked like Shlomo HaMelech, but he was having a party. I'm the king now. And then Shlomo HaMelech somehow found himself back to Yerushalayim. He looked like a beggar, like a homeless person. And he comes to everyone and tells them, I'm Ben David, I'm the son of David. And everybody's like, go away from here, you beggar. And then they started figuring out that Shlomo HaMelech is not behaving right way, because he had a lot of wives. And he went to the wrong wife at the wrong time. Because according to their cycles. And they started figuring out what's going on. Why is he going to her tonight? Why is he going to her tonight? And then they started believing that homeless that said, I'm the son of David. And there's a whole story. The Gemara goes over it. They had to put the name of Hashem on his body and they trapped the demon. The point is that at night, all the demons and the spirits, they come down to this world. With the darkness, they all come down. Like you see, in the physical world, the light slowly diminishes till it becomes dark. As it's diminishing it, as the light is diminishing, that's where all these demons, they come down to the world. And they come all down to the world to create havoc. That's why we see that the first thing that we say in Tfilat Arvit, והוא רחום יכפר עוון ולא ישחית, וירבה להשיב אפו ולא יאיר כל חמתו. In this verse is the name of the four mashchitim. That's why we say them. We mention their names because we want to annul them, we want to capture them. And in this verse, והוא רחום יכפר עוון, עוון is the first mashchit. And then we go one by one. והוא רחום יכפר עוון ולא ישחית, וירבה להשיב אפו, af is the second one. והוא רחום יכפר עוון ולא ישחית וירבה להשיב אפו ולא יאיר כל חמתו. חמתו is the last one. Each one, they come down to this world, and when you say Kriyat Shema or Arvit, that's when you lock them in. But these demons, they come down to the world at night and they're looking to make a problem. Like a biker, like a group of bikers, they drive into the town, they're looking how to make a balagan. So there's these bikers, they come down to the world and they're looking, where can I create havoc? That's why by default, this physical world starts becoming darker and darker and darker. And that's why our Chachamim made right away you say Kriyat Shema, right away you do Arvit. Because you have the ability of controlling them. But these mashchitim, they come, and now what happens? If your body is soaked with Kedusha, you did 1 mitzvah, 10 mitzvot, 100 mitzvot, the Gemara compares it like to a barrel full of sand and a barrel full of honey. Take the barrel full of sand, tip it upside down. Now the barrel is empty. That's it. Nothing. You take the barrel full of honey, tip it upside down. All the honey goes out, but the walls of the barrel are still full of honey. So all these little maggots, they come and they want to suck it. So the neshama leaves the body. The body is full of kedusha. All these demons, they come to suck a little bit of kedusha. And then they stay in. So we got our body. Now, if you do Kriyat Shema the right way, first of all, your soul goes up to exactly where I told you. Go to Beis Din to write their account, goes to get charged, etc. If a chas v'shalom, the person did not say Kriyat Shema L'Amitah and did not do the right tshuva, the soul doesn't go up. It goes out of the body, and then also to Malachei Chabbalah, destructive angels, they play football with the soul. They kick it to all sorts of universes. That's why you see some people, they can sleep for 10 hours, and they wake up wiped out. No energy. You wake up out of the bed like half dead because you didn't get charged. And you see another person can sleep for 2 hours like a lion. So a lot of the times the soul is this heaviness. That's why a lot of people wake up in the morning depressed because the soul is deflated from energy. Now if the person did the right Kriyat Shema L'Amitah, meaning that first of all doing Tshuva, then the soul goes up to Shamayim. First it gives an account, then it goes to testify, it gets charged, and then if it did its right action, it gets invited to the headquarters because it gets connected to the Yechidah. Very soon I'm going to explain to you what's this whole concept of Mazal, because the Yechidah is holding the Mazal. And Mazal again is not luck, what you have in the casino, it's data. Mazal is data. So the neshama goes up to Shamayim and it gets attached to the Yechidah, assuming that the person is keeping Torah and mitzvot, and assuming that the person did Shuvah before he went to sleep. And then the neshama gets invited to the headquarters, and it sees everything. Every little thing it sees. It sees the future, every little detail. Now when it's ready to come down to the world, it's carrying with it data, because it just saw everything. And then it's going down different level, and another level, and another level, and finally it gets dressed into the body. And where does it get dressed? A piece of it gets dressed right before you wake up, in the late night of the sleep, the end of your sleep, and the rest of the neshama parks in right before you fall asleep. Right before you wake up. That's why many people, they have a dream right before they wake up that they fall. A lot of people have it. Some people have the dream that they fall like very subtle, and some people have a dream that they fall very steep. And a lot of people have it. Why? Because the neshama is falling back into the body. Now if it's falling in like a rock, that's not so good. If it's going in gently into the body, then it's a much better option. But the neshama has data. It saw upstairs everything. So now the data is very, very broad. It has to get dressed now into the garment of thought. So right before you wake up, the neshama comes into the body, it's carrying some type of data, and then it gets translated as a dream. So right before I wake up, the remaining of the thoughts in my mind are sitting in one part of the brain, and then the data that comes from the neshama, it gets dressed in to what I'm thinking, thoughts. But the dream comes with information from above. That's why the dreams are holding information. And all of it is prophecies. The problem is that most people are not refined enough to either hold enough information, or to remember the information, or to analyze the information. But the reality is that each and every one of you, assuming the soul went to the right place, it's coming back with a souvenir. And that's why a lot of people, sometimes they have 2 months they don't dream anything, and then suddenly one time they have this dream. Wow, I dreamt about like this and like this. They're trying to find a solution. Could very much be that that day they did something very special, a very big mitzvah. They were able to overpower an inclination. They did something big. So the neshama was a little bit more refined, it was able to go a little bit higher. And then they get some type of a message, and the message is not clear, A, because this body is not aligned well with the neshama. More than that, the information is way too big of a capacity for the mind to process. So it will come in different hints, or you're getting just pieces of the details. You know, like when we were kids, we had this game, charades, that you're saying, okay, let me do the first hint, I'll do a certain hint, and you're like, oh, it's a movie. And then you're doing, hand movements, and you have to guess. So sometimes in the dream you have these certain details, but it doesn't get dressed well in your thought, in your brain, so you get it kind of as a hint. The problem is that in many of these dreams it's usually mixed with all sorts of junk. So you can't tell between the actual detail and the message and what's junk in it. And it confuses you. First of all, because the human brain doesn't have much of a capacity to understand this information. More than that, if your soul is not really refined, then this power of impurity will come and kind of make this confusion in the thought. But the reality is that the data that the soul comes in, it's real. And if you know how to understand it and how to dissect it, you can actually come with a very powerful message in the dream. That's why the Torah took its time to tell us, yeah, there's messages in the dream. Now, should we take it serious? Should I really now come and dissect every dream that I have? No. Because you can't interpret it, and most likely nobody else can interpret it. We don't have anymore Yosef HaTzadik that can come and tell you, oh, your dream means like this and like that. Some people, they pretend that they know what a dream is. But it's extremely dangerous. Because if they made one wrong analogy, then they give you the wrong information. So there's certain books that they will tell you if you dream of a snake, means you have a lot of parnasa. If the snake will bite you, you're going to be rich. If you die, means you have a long life. There's all sorts of sources that tell you. The problem is that people, as usual, they distort it. They add all sorts of their own opinions, and then everybody becomes a big a dream interpreter, and becomes a whole mishmash. The point is that if the Kadosh Baruch Hu wanted you to know, He would let you know. There's a reason why the dreams are not so clear. The best way is to totally ignore it, not to pay attention. I mean, if you are really refined spiritually, then you can kind of understand what's going on in the dream. The problem is that when you try to interpret it and you don't have the right information, you can come to the wrong assumption and then think something or feel something. The thing is that our dreams are so powerful that one of the main things that one can really take from a dream, a lot of people, Baruch Hashem, they wake up in the middle of their life and they want to do tshuva. Some things are very easy to do tshuva for. Some things are very hard to do tshuva for. I mean, if I did a lot of gezel, taking something without permission that doesn't belong to me, I don't know who to give it back to. 20 years. I don't know who I owe money. I don't know who I stole from. How am I going to give all this back? The Zohar explains that if a person stays up all night and learns and prays with all his might, with all his intention and kavanah, they'll bring to him from Shamayim the message. Yazamnulo, they're going to bring to him the information. Who's the person? Where do you owe? How much you owe? So sometimes a person that really refines himself and works on himself spiritually, he will get information in his dream. He will suddenly dream about somebody he owes money from for 20 years. And in the dream will be the scene that he owes that person money. And he wake up in the morning, oh, I can't believe I owe Shlomo money. Wow, unbelievable. And he wakes up and he goes and gives him the money. The thing is that the soul comes back with a lot of information, just as the capacity of the soul down here cannot dissect and understand the information. That's why a lot of people, in some cases, they get what's called a déjà vu. Ooh, I've been here already. I saw this. Yeah, of course you saw this. You saw it in the promo. The soul saw it up there, he saw the promo, then it came down, and you suddenly get like this flash, and you recognize a certain scene, or a person. Now, how is that all connected to Mazal? A lot of people think, again, Mazal, that it's like I go to the casino and I get the right number. Mazal is data. Now, the acronym of Mazal is Makom, Zman, Limud. Place, time, and learning. When the Hashem wanted to create the world, he needed three elements. First of all, the Zohar says that the Kadosh Baruch Hu looked in the Torah, Istakel beoraita vebara alma. Kadosh Baruch Hu looked in the Torah and then he created the world. So he needed the Torah. The Torah is the blueprint. And then in order to create the world, Hashem needed two things: time and place. Because in the spiritual place, in the spiritual realm, there's no time and there's no place. So the Kadosh Baruch Hu needed the Torah, he needed to create time, and he needed to create space. And that's what formed the DNA of creation, so to say. The blueprint, the sketch. So each and every one of us, we have a certain shlichut in this world. We have a certain emissary to do in this world. I didn't just come here to this world for 70 years to eat all day long and to sleep and to go on Facebook. I came here with a certain mission that I need to do and to achieve. So this is all written in the blueprint. And this blueprint is held in Shamayim by my Yechidah, the highest level of the Neshama. And this Yechidah, it's a piece of Hashem. And each and every one of us has a certain blueprint, what I'm supposed to do in this reincarnation. Some of it I already did in the previous reincarnation, some of it I already accomplished in the reincarnation before. This job, I got hired. I got a phone call, they told me here's the job description, you signed the deal, okay, go down. So the Yechidah is holding all the information. Every now and then, it starts dripping information into the soul. This is what the Zohar calls it Mazaliyahu Chazi. That there's a certain level of the Mazal, the data, that the Yechidah holds. Mazal also comes from the word linzol, to start dripping. So the Mazal is holding all the data and it starts dripping into the Neshama like an IV. And the Mazal, it sees everything. In the Mazal, in this script, in the data, everything that I'm supposed to do is already given in there. So if I'm supposed to do a certain shlichut, I get the tools and the ability and the knowledge to actually do it. That's why when the Kadosh Baruch Hu gives a person an nisayon, he gives him an nisayon, a test, according to what he can handle. Which means if you're going through a certain test, it means the Kadosh Baruch Hu knows you can handle it. And the nisayon, the test, is not to annoy you or to punish you. That's part of your job. You wake up in the morning, you tell Kadosh Baruch Hu, what's the job today? Parnasa? Okay, so today I struggle with Parnasa. You wake up in the morning, what's the struggle today? Oh, today you're going to have a problem with your wife. Okay. And every day I have a job description. Nothing here is by chance. And Hashem doesn't punish anyone. People think, oh, Hashem is punishing me. Now I don't have money, I can't have Parnasa, I can't have a child, I can't find my other half. Why is Hashem punishing me? He's not punishing you. He just hired you. That's your job. You were hired today to deal with a certain situation and to overpower it and to overcome it and not to let it affect your daily life. Usually people, they get affected by the challenge that they have. The challenge is some type of a resistance for you to be able to produce something. if you look how they're pumping oil from the ground, there's a certain motion of this pumping, in, out, in, out. Why? It has to have resistance. If you look at the pumps, it has a resistance because, you know, when you have a drain that is clogged, you need to pump, you clog the air, and then you have resistance, you pull it up. So the motion of this in and out and resistance is what pulls out what is hidden. Exactly how they pump for oil, exactly how they pump for gas. You must have on one side resistance. So the resistance is these challenges that we get. We're just very spoiled and we start whining. It's not fair. I'm such a good person. Why is Hashem doing it to me? Hashem is saying, what are you complaining all day long? I'm giving you now material to work with. This is your resistance. That's why you have to work hard. Like you work in a gym. You want to be in better shape, you add another plate to the weight. So all these nisyonot, these resistance, these tests, are for us to actually produce our job. Now the job description is in the Yechidah. That's my mazal. If my mazal is to get married, that will be in the description. So the Kadosh Baruch Hu gives me all the abilities and all the tools and all the connections to bring myself to get married. And if I have the mazal in the description to make money, then it's going to happen whether I want it or not. That's where people don't understand. You can work 20 hours a day or 2 hours a day, whatever you're supposed to make, that's what you're going to make. You don't make any extra by you thinking that you're putting more effort. The only thing you can do is you can actually block the shefa, the abundance. That you can do. Because the reality is in 30 days, we're going to have Yom Rosh Hashanah. That's when the Kadosh Baruch Hu writes checks and he decides who's going to get what. You're going to get 20 million, you're going to get 50 million, you're going to get 40 million. Everybody gets a lot of millions. Now Hashem tells you, okay, now start materializing it every day. Every day when you go to pray, you start transforming the money from the spiritual into the physical. Like the lottery. You win the lottery, they don't give you your whole money right away. Every month they give you a payment. So the Kadosh Baruch Hu says, I'm giving you an abundance of blessing. Tons of money, health, sustenance, Yirat Shamayim, Avat Hashem, your other half, kids, everything you need. Hashem is giving you in truckloads. Now it's only sitting in the spiritual bank, and this is sitting in your mazal. This is part of your mazal. And it's a component of different things. Now Hashem tells you, okay, start bringing it down. Start transforming it. Every time you pray, praying is Shmona Esrei. And women also have to pray. Men have to pray 3 times a day. We have to work a little bit harder. Women have to pray 1 time a day. They're not exempt. If somebody's telling you that you're exempt from praying, they're wrong. You have to pray at least once a day. The only difference between men and women, that men they're bound by time. A woman is not bound by the time. And she can choose whichever one she wants. She can pray Shacharit at 1, she can pray Mincha at 2. It doesn't matter. But she has to pray at least once a day. Why? Because that's how we manifest. We bring down the bracha from the spiritual into the physical. That's me tapping into my mazal and pulling out from the bank, from the savings, I pull out a certain sustenance. Now if it's not in my mazal to make a lot of money, then it's not going to happen. Doesn't matter what I'm going to do. And people come and say, how can I change my mazal? You can't, because that's what you got. You can stop it, you can stop the abundance. If you have a channel where the parnasah comes from, the livelihood, the sustenance, and a person does a certain sin and he cuts this channel, then he stops the abundance. Whatever we get is depending on us, not on the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Kadosh Baruch Hu constantly gives us. The restriction is because of the one who's receiving. I'm the one who decides how much I'm going to get. If I open up all my channels, meaning that I align myself to the Kadosh Baruch Hu through the Torah and mitzvot, I get an unbelievable abundance, more than I can handle. But the Kadosh Baruch Hu is so smart, He's not opening, the full force water. It will wash you away. So He opens it a little bit and it starts trickling. Slowly, slowly it's trickling, whatever you can handle. The more you can handle, the more He delivers. I'm the one who can actually put a block and stop my abundance from coming. So if I have a certain problem, whether it's making money, bringing kids to the world, no communication with my wife, problems with my neighbor, this one is lost, so suing me, I'm the one who's creating these blocks, essentially. Now this is not black and white 100%. Don't go home and say, oh, it's me that is at fault. There are many different factors why sometimes I will get more money, sometimes I'll get less money. One time I am healthy, one time I'm not healthy. A big percentage of it is from my own actions. I mean, if I'm doing a lot of sins, I'm cutting all these channels to get my abundance. And then all day long I just complain. But assuming that I'm a 100% God-fearing Jew, then I have these channels where I'm getting my abundance open, then it's up to the Kadosh Baruch Hu how much He wants to give me. So there's no such a thing that I can control what Hashem wants to give me. There are ways that I can add to my Mazal, I can remove from my Mazal, but try to understand that the Mazal is a database, it's a basin of a bracha. And the Kadosh Baruch Hu decides what He wants to give you, based on your actions, based on whatever He wants to give you. Now it's in my ability to bring it down, to materialize it. And I do have a way to actually damage it. The way that I protect it and I'm able to bring it down is only by following the Torah and the mitzvot. The Torah and the mitzvot is not to make my life hard. Rather, it's giving me the pure code how to open the safe. That's it. In essence, Torah and mitzvot is food and air to my soul. If I don't give food and air to my body will die. If I don't get food and air to my neshama, to my soul, it will die. That's why people, when they don't follow the Torah, they don't do mitzvot, they fall into all sorts of sicknesses. Physical sickness, mental sickness, emotional sickness. Half this world is depressed. Not because they have a problem with finance, or because of the climate, because the soul is hungry. The soul is not getting sustenance. It's the same way if you don't eat now for 2 hours, you get a stomach ache. You don't eat for 6 hours, you get a headache. You don't eat for 12 hours, you become dizzy. The soul, if you don't give it Torah and mitzvot, it will start becoming sick. It will start bothering you. It will start nag. Hello? I need something here. And we just blame it on many other things. So if I feed my soul, then my soul is in a good state. But more than that, besides the Torah and the mitzvot, the Torah and the mitzvot is giving me a code how to open a certain channel. The Zohar explains that between my body to the Kadosh Baruch Hu, there's a rope connecting my soul to God. There's a rope that's connecting my soul to God. And the same way that the rope, a physical rope, is built from many thin threads, then the spiritual rope is built from 620 thin threads, corresponding to 613 mitzvot from the Torah and 7 mitzvot from our sages. Now if I have all these channels, all these threads connected by following the Torah and the mitzvot, then I have no problem for my abundance to come. But if I start cutting it, then I'm stopping my abundance. So in essence, the Torah and the mitzvot are codes to open these safes to get what belongs to me. So the Torah doesn't come to restrict me. The Torah doesn't come to annoy me. It's coming to teach me and to guide me how do I connect with my mazal so I can actually start drawing from it. I mean, I can have now $5 billion in a bank account and then I die, chas v'shalom. If my kids don't know the codes, they don't know how to get there. I have a safe full of money. If you don't have the code, you have a problem. So my mazal contains everything. I just need to know how to open the channels and get it out. And my mazal has abundance of wealth. Because the Kadosh Baruch Hu is the ultimate good. He showers us with good. Just sometimes, like a little kid, if I don't deserve it, then the Kadosh Baruch Hu closes the tap. Sorry. But the mazal comes from the word linzol, that it drips. Kadosh Baruch Hu is giving it in increments. And I have the way to kind of control it. The connection between my mazal and the dreams is that when my soul goes up to Shamayim, it sees everything. It knows everything. Technically, if a person is very, very refined, and he has a certain she'ela, a question, he wants to know about if to go into this business, not to go into this business. If he's very, very aligned and he prays for that, he'll get the answer in his dream. That's what the Chachamim used to do. Somebody would come with a certain question, they would do what's called a she'elat chalom. They would ask the question, they would work on themselves, refine themselves, ask the question before they go to sleep, and the answer would come in the dream. Very simple. So our Torah tells us, "V'amech kulam tzadikim," we all can reach to a level of tzaddik. I can do the same thing. If I really refine myself, then I can actually ask for a question and get the answer in a dream. Sometimes I don't need to do anything and the answer just comes. That's why sometimes you see a relative will come to you in a dream, will tell you something. Mainly you see relatives that passed away that they come in the dreams in the first year because the nefesh is still in this world. So they see a lot of information and they come to you in your dream. Either to tell you that everything's okay, don't worry, I'm in a good place. Either they come and tell you, listen, the will, it's over there. Don't listen to him. But we get sometimes visits from relatives. Usually and most likely it's in the first year of the death, and sometimes after. Now, when I want to actually derive this information, the only way of doing it is only if I refine myself. The point is not to go and start dissecting the dreams, because most likely you'll never understand it, and you can interpret it in a completely different way, and the result can be just devastating. Because you think, oh, I think in the dream I'm supposed to buy this house, and not. So you don't base your life based on dreams, unless you really feel that the message is extremely clear, then you're saying, okay, this was just obvious. Some of the dreams are extremely obvious. More than that, when I want to tap into my Mazal, the Mazal is just sitting there. All the information is just sitting there. All I need to do is to connect with my Yechidah. Meaning that I have to refine my Neshama and my Nefesh and my Ruach to such a level that I'm aligned with my Yechidah. I'll get all the information I need. Now, great tzaddikim, they're operating in the level of Yechidah. That's why when you come to the tzaddik, the real tzaddik, he just looks at you, he knows everything about you. Not because he sees it on the body, because he's operating in such a high level that his Yechidah sees your Yechidah, they shake hands, they exchange information, and then the tzaddik knows everything about you. But this is very few tzaddikim are able to do that, because they don't see the body, they see way above that. But we are able to refine ourselves to a way that I can actually start drawing down information from my Mazal. That's what I mentioned before, that the Zohar calls it Mazaliyahu Chazi, that I can, Chazi means to see, Lachazot. I'm able to look and see what's my Mazal and actually bring it down. And actually I'm able to affect my world with that, my whole entire life. But that's only if you refine yourself and you work on yourself to a level that you're more connected to your spiritual world. That's why you see in great sages and great tzaddikim, they don't derive anything from this world. They don't eat chocolates all day long and cookies and sleeping for 10 hours and all these pleasurable things in the world. These are permitted things. But when you take too much pleasure out of permitted things, it makes you very physical, very low level. That's why great sages and great Rabbanim, they restrict themselves. They don't take from this world so much. Then what happens is that they kind of get separated from the physicality. So they're able to see things in a much more clearer way. They perceive things a little bit better. And that's why they have their own dreams, and it's a little bit more clear. Very few people you can actually approach and tell them, this was my dream, what do you think it means? Or what does it mean? I can already tell you that the majority of people don't know how to interpret dreams. It's not even worth the effort, because they're just going to confuse you. They're going to try to pretend that they're so knowledgeable, that they know something, and they're telling you, oh, this means like this and like this and like that, and it's nonsense. You don't want to base your decisions based on somebody that tells you that they know how to interpret dreams. What you need to take from this short explanation, this is literally an overview of the concept of a dream and the Mazal, is to take the consideration that there is data placed in your safe in Shamayim. Everything is obvious. That's why before a person is born, he knows his entire life. Everything is predestined. Akol tzafui. Everything is already designed and predestined. The way how it works is, imagine you build a house now, and you don't build the rooms, you just build the structure around. Then what you can do is you can start closing the rooms however you want. I mean, you can take this room now and make 4 rooms in here. You don't need the whole space. You can leave the space. You can make 1 long room, 2 rooms going like that. So what's predestined is the structure of the house, so to say. Then you can start designing the interior. But before you come down to this world, everything is already designed. This is the base of the Mazal. You have the opportunity to a little bit shift it and to design it based on your actions. What you need to know from that is that there's something sitting up there. You have information. When you want to have the best guidance in your life is to tap into this information. Now personally, I don't like all the hocus pocuses. Going on to all sorts of people that tell you the future and interpret dreams and they're looking in the coffee and all this nonsense. Follow the Torah. What the Torah tells you, by default you're going to be aligned exactly to the database that will give you the information in the right way. The information is sitting there. It's very obvious and it's very clear. That's why sometimes you get hints in a dream. Sometimes you get a hint in some type of what's called intuition. Oh, if this guy, I don't feel good with this guy. So your soul talks to you constantly. That's why there are many types of meditations in Jewish religion that a person can meditate and align his neshama the right way, and he will get his answers and his guidance. One of them is called hitbodedut, that you isolate yourself. People kind of connect hitbodedut for whatever reason to Breslev. It's way before Breslev, the concept of hitbodedut. It's already talked about in the Gemara about hitbodedut comes from the word bidud hanefesh, isolating my soul. Because all day long I have things that's bothering me, all day long. But if I isolate myself, that's when I'm able to quiet down my neshama and then concentrate and actually get connected to my neshama. And then my soul starts talking to me. Because my soul has all the information, it's holding all the data. If I connect to my soul will start talking to me. But as long as I'm occupied all day long with the mess that's going on around me, I'm not going to be able to communicate with my soul. Another type of meditation is called hitbonenut. This is meditating but more in an intellectual way. Each type of meditation will bring us a different type of knowledge. There's another type of meditation that is called hashkata. Hashkata means that you constantly have thoughts running in your mind. Constantly. 90% of the thoughts are junk, and 10% of the thoughts are really what the neshama is projecting. The problem is that constantly we have these thoughts in our mind, and we're occupied with too much of a mess. If somebody would be able to read your mind, they would think that you're nuts. Completely. The thing is that this practice, this meditation of hashkata, is that you sit down in a place that you're not bothered, the phone is not ringing, the house bell door is not ringing, it's just you and yourself. And what you do is you start meditating on your thoughts. You start observing your thoughts. And you at some point get to a level that you see that 90% of your thoughts, you by yourself understand that you have a jungle in your mind. All these weird thoughts, what you would want to do to that person, what you want to say to that person, oh wow, what I would wish to do to that person. Now during the day, you don't really thinking about it. Meditate and concentrate on your thoughts, you'll see that you're not different than a nutcase. The only difference between us and lunatics is that they do what they think. We don't. We somehow control ourselves. But concentrate one time on your thoughts. You're going to the supermarket, you're looking at a person, just a thought, what you would want to do to that person. If you don't like him, you're already picturing in your mouth how you want to cut his head off. Or whatever. I don't want to give other examples, but you know what I mean. Or what you would want to tell to that person. Sometimes you're smiling to the person in your mind like, hey, I hate you. So our thoughts is a mishmash in our mind is a jungle of thoughts. But when you observe and you're looking at your thoughts and you're quietening your thoughts, suddenly all the mess evaporates and then you're concentrating on the real thoughts. That's when you really align your neshama all the way up to its source, to its mazal, and you're able to start pulling down information. That's why it's called mazal, because it's dripping. If I would take now a bucket and throw it on you, then you just get wet, nothing happens from it. But if I take like a little drop and I start dripping drops into your mouth, then you actually get benefit from that. But all these things can only be done when I'm really refining myself and I'm aligning myself to my source. And if I'm able to bring myself to that level, that's when my neshama will start talking to me. That's when I'm going to the dreams will be clear and obvious. That's one of the many reasons why we pray every day. Praying is meditating. We see it as a burden. I'm going to have to read this boring text. But the reality is that if you focus on the codes, you're meditating. You can bring yourself to such high levels in prayer that you can actually completely shift your mazal with praying. That's why when we pray and when we wish people things, what do we say? Yehi Ratzon. Yehi Ratzon means there should be a new will. Because Hashem has His will, and His will right now is to give me $0. That's His will, based on whatever. I'm saying Yehi Ratzon, should be a new will, that you will give me a lot of money. So with the power of prayer, I'm actually able to reach to the highest level and change the description, to change the code with prayer. That's why we see that great tzaddikim, especially we see it in the Torah, they were able to change their mazal with prayer. The thing is that the mazal is what's controlling the entire world. Now there's a very big difference between the mazal, my own mazal, and the mazalot, the signs. That's a whole different thing. Because Hashem, how He governs the world, He has an army. It's called Tzva Shamayim, the heaven army. And He, same way like this army, you have a chief of staff, then you have generals, and each general is a boss of, of the Marine Corps, of the helicopters, of the whatever, the Navy, and then it goes like an army. Kadosh Baruch Hu does the same. One of the ways how Hashem does it, how He's governing the world through His generals, these are the mazalot, these are the score, and not this, how do you say it, in the horoscope. This is a real thing. The difference between us and the rest of the nations and the rest of the world, that the entire world is ruled by these mazalot, by these horoscopes, but we as a Jew are way above the mazal. So I'm talking right now the mazal and my personal mazal, my personal and individual mazal. This has nothing to do with the horoscope. We see in the Torah that on Avraham Avinu, the Kadosh Baruch Hu took him out of the tent and He showed him how he's going to have the son Yitzchak. Now Avraham Avinu couldn't believe, he couldn't understand how he can have a son. Because he saw in his mazal that there's no son. Avraham Avinu was a big tzaddik, he was able to look all the way up. So he saw in, right, but in my mazal it doesn't show that I have a child. So the Kadosh Baruch Hu says, when it says in the Torah that He took him out of the tent, He actually took him out of the universe. He elevated Avraham Avinu above the universe, above the mazal, and He says, yes, in the mazal, you don't have a child. But when I elevate you above it, then I can change actually whatever I want. I can give you whatever I want. This is the power of prayer. And you see that, for example, with Rivka and Yitzchak, that they wanted to have a child. 37 years, they didn't have a child. And how did they change their mazal? With prayer. So prayer is how you actually center yourself to the data and you're able to shift it a little bit. That's why you see a lot of the times a person has a problem, he goes and prays. The Rabbi tells him, pray. Pray. Sometimes the whole congregation can pray and something changes. Sometimes the whole congregation can pray and nothing will change. There's a reason for that too. Sometimes you need 1,000 prayers. Sometimes you need 20 prayers. It's talked about when Moshe Rabbeinu, when he was supposed to go into Eretz Israel, Hashem told him, no, I'm sorry, you're not going in. So he prayed 515 times. And that's the prayer of Moshe Rabbeinu. One prayer of Moshe Rabbeinu is like my 100 million prayers. So he had to pray 550 times, and that also didn't work. So it doesn't mean that the prayer is not accepted. It means that sometimes that's what's supposed to be. But to sum up the whole concept is that there is a certain concept in Shamayim that is held in some type of a safe, the data, the blueprint of my entire life. If I'm able to somehow tap into it, I'm able to get my guidance. When a dream comes to you, by default it comes just because the neshama was visiting the show and it came with some memories. That's it. Some people go on a vacation, they come back with 10 pictures. That's it. 2 weeks and all you got is 10 pictures? Yeah, that's fine for me. Some people go, they have a digital camera, 10,000 pictures. Every pose. 1 picture is enough. What leaves you the memory from the vacation is not 10,000 pictures, it's 1 good picture. 1 good picture, oh, now I remember the entire resort. Your soul goes up to Shamayim and he takes pictures of what's going on. The dream is by default that the Shema comes down, it just sees the slideshow of the pictures. The only difference is that imagine now you're looking at somebody else's photo album and you just see pictures, you don't see a description. You're sitting with the one who went on the vacation. Oh, here! Don't ask. Let me tell you a story what happened here. And here, that's where we stayed. And here, so you just need the passenger that was in the vacation to tell you what's the pictures. And the only way to tap into the pictures is only if you refine yourself. Then you're able also to see all the pictures and to know what's going on. And also to reach the level that you can a little bit redesign it and redefine it. So I know it's a very, very interesting topic, and mainly people want to say, oh, I want to know how to interpret the dreams. Don't try. Don't even bother. Because in most cases, you're not going to be able to. You're not going to be able, and the data is going to come very unclear. But when the Kadosh Baruch Hu wants to give you a sign, it will come very, very clear. And the more you refine yourself, and the more you work on yourself, and the more you meditate that your neshama is going to be aligned, these messages are going to come much more clearer. It can come to you when you're even awake. Signs are going to be very, very obvious in front of you. The point is that the Torah tells us, Tamim tiyeh Hashem Elokecha, be innocent with the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Don't start looking for hocus pocus all the time, and why is this like this, and why is this like that, and what does this mean, and I dreamt about two birds flying this direction, what does it mean, what does it mean? Some people call me with these weird questions. Don't ask. I had a dream of a cat with 3 legs, and he was walking sideways. What does it mean? It means that there was a cat with 3 legs. Well, there's no meaning. Sometimes people go into this OCD on these little meanings in the dream. Right? That's a totally different thing. But even in a dream, people, they remember their dreams, and they're trying to analyze what it means. If the Kadosh Baruch Hu wanted to let you know, he would let you know. There's a reason why some of this is satum, is hidden. But, yeah, if you want to tap into it, then you refine yourself. You refine yourself with Torah and mitzvot, you refine yourself with prayer. Mainly you want to do all this is not because of the dream. The dream is like a report. You want to do that so you can able to tap into your yechidah. That you're able to draw down this information, what you need to do, to draw down the energy and the power to allow you to serve Hashem how He wants you to serve Him. To be able to overcome your nisyonot, your challenges. That's why we got the tool. The tool is not to get the memory in a dream, rather to use that to align myself that I can actually derive the right information and the guide directly from my Kadosh Baruch Hu. And that is only going to come from my neshama. My neshama is my best advisor. So Bezrat Hashem, what you need to take from that is not how amazing dreams are and what the dreams are. Rather, follow the Torah and say, Tamim tiyeh Hashem Elokecha. Be very innocent with the Torah. Don't ask too many questions. Do what the Torah tells you to do. You're not going to have problems. Everything is going to be clear. Everything is going to be obvious. And you will have the opportunity when something doesn't work the right way to control your mazal. To change it, to refine it. In most cases you have much more than what you can handle. You don't need to change your mazal. The only difference is that there's blockages on the way. You need to know where the blockage is. And this is the type of messages you want to get in the dream, is where you're lacking in your Avodat Hashem. Nowhere which building to invest in. The knowledge that you get in your dreams, you have to see and ask the Kadosh Baruch Hu to be obvious, how am I refining my service to you? How can I get closer to you? How can I refine my Avodat Hashem? How can I believe in you more and have more emunah in you and pray better? That's when you get this information. Because Hashem doesn't want to show you everything that is concealed. It says that it's tarot l'Kadosh Baruch Hu. Whatever is not revealed is for the Kadosh Baruch Hu. But if I pray for the Kadosh Baruch Hu will guide me to serve you better, then this information will come in my dream, because Neshama wants to let me know what I need to do. Bezrat Hashem, we should wake up from the last and final dream. This world we are dreaming all day long, we are dreamers. When we sing Shir HaMa'alot, we sing Shir HaMa'alot, Beshuv Hashem et Shivat Zion. When we're going to receive back, redeem back Zion, go back to Zion, Hayinu kecholmim. We are now dreaming. We are now dreaming, we're in a state of sleeping. When a person dies, he wakes up. Imagine how you dream at night. Sometimes the dream is so real, you think that's the reality. And the dream is like a whole life long. And then you wake up and you're like, what? This was a dream? Oh, I really wanted the Ferrari. Oh. The dream is so powerful that you think that's the reality, and then you wake up and you're like, oh. When a person lives his life, we're dreaming for 80 years, 70 years, then the person leaves this world, then he wakes up. He wakes up to a new reality, which is 1,000,000 times more magnified than this world. We are literally dreaming. That's why the colors that we see are very, very dull. We think that we have a lot of colors. When Mashiach is going to come, the world is going to be vivid. Now everything is very pale and very dull. Feelings are very dull. Even when you get happy, it's not like happy that you want to faint out of happiness. You're a little bit happy. That's why when people use drugs, they feel extreme feelings. Why? Because they release some type of a block. Because our neshama is surrounded by these screens, masachim. And when a person takes drugs, what it does, it opens some type of a knot, and one of the shades, one of these masachim, the screens moves. And then the person is experiencing something that is not normal. Whether they see things in a hallucination, they're too much hyper, all overexcited. Why? Because one screen was removed. The problem is that it was done the wrong way, so the drug wears off, and then the screen falls down, but it falls down strong, like a heavy window. That you lift up the window, you have air to 2 seconds, and then the window falls down. That's why people who use drugs, then they have a very, very powerful high, and then it falls down. That's why the reaction is disastrous. But the reality is that people who use drugs, they remove one screen. So they're able to experience this not normal energy, not normal happiness, not normal excitement. That's a fraction of what the soul really feels. If we would experience what the soul really feels, we would faint on the spot just from the energy of it. So the reality is that we are numb. We are sleeping right now. When we leave this world, we wake up. But the next option is when we can wake up is when Mashiach comes. Mashiach is going to wake us all up. That's why it says, B'shuv Hashem et Shivat Zion. When Hashem is going to give us back Zion, Zion is the Bet HaMikdash, Haynu kecholmeim, we would wake up and we're like, whoa! That's just a weird dream. I dreamed that I was in this world and I owed the credit card company $50,000. Mashiach is going to come, we're all going to wake up. So right now we're having a nightmare. We're all having a nightmare. And we're waiting for this nightmare to end. So we think we're having a normal life, but we're really having a nightmare. One person owes $100,000 to the bank, another person just lost his spouse, another person is fighting and battling a disease, another person just lost a loved one. We're all fighting a nightmare. We're in a nightmare. We just can't wait for the nightmare to end. And when one problem gets solved, the next one is waiting next to it. The way to wake up from the nightmare is to put an alarm clock. That's very simple. We need Mashiach to come and wake us up. Then the nightmare is over. Then we don't have to be scared anymore. We don't have to battle things. We don't have to battle this annoying and frightening life. Why? Because we're all sleeping. So B'ezrat Hashem, we should merit to get the ultimate wake-up call with the coming of the Megula, with the coming of Mashiach. A lot of people think that it's an invention, that it's a fiction. People tell me, it's nonsense. There's not such a thing. When you really believe in this nonsense. People tell me there's not such a thing as Mashiach. It's just an invention to keep people having hope. I hear the most weirdest answers. The reality is that Mashiach is real. It's 100% real. It's beyond real. And not only that, it's coming any second. And I know people saying, oh no, we heard about it for thousands of years already. Yeah, we heard about it for thousands of years, but now it's really happening. So B'ezrat Hashem, we want to be woken up from this dream. We want to be back in Eretz Yisrael. We want to be serving our God exactly how we need to. So the Kadosh Baruch Hu is sending us our signs in this world, like a dream. You just have to read between the lines. What am I supposed to do in this world? What did I come to this world? I came to this world to play all day long. Kadosh Baruch Hu is sending me hints, like a dream. Messages from above. Wake up. Get closer to me. Do more Torah and mitzvot. I'm sending my Mashiach right now. It's going to happen very soon. You got to get ready. Don't left behind. And everybody's getting signs. That's why all of you are here. Probably 3-4 years ago, you would be now watching a football game. Now you're in a shiur Torah. Why? You're getting these signs. Everybody's getting signs, waking up. Everybody's starting to wake up. Kadosh Baruch Hu is waking everybody up. Right before dawn. Right before Mashiach is coming. Everybody's getting these alarm clocks. The reality is that we want to make it come much, much, much faster because we're really dreaming and we're really in a nightmare. We just want to wake up and finally, oh, Baruch Hashem, it was only a nightmare. Now Mashiach is here. Everything is good. Everything, Baruch Hashem. So Bezrat Hashem, we should merit to see the coming of the Geula with our own eyes. Bezrat Hashem, and each and every one of you will leave this door tonight with, instead of having the knowledge what a dream is, but rather having the knowledge how am I bringing the Geula faster by adding another few mitzvot to my agenda, then we have a better chance of actually hastening the redemption. And even if you think you already reached to the level that you're functioning what you're supposed to do, then I have a surprise to you, you're not. You have a lot what to do. And if you want to wake up from this nightmare, and Hashem made sure that we're all under a nightmare right now, we're all pressed to a wall, then Hashem tells you, then do what I tell you to do. And you add more mitzvot and more mitzvot. And the point to take out from tonight is not about how I'm reshaping my Mazal and getting another $1 million into my bank account, is how I'm reshaping the entire world's Mazal, and I'm making the Geula coming much faster. So the point to take from here tonight is what am I adding to my agenda? Where am I adding more mitzvot? Where am I adding more Torah? Where am I adding more Gemilut Chasadim? So I will be able to wake up from this dream. And Bezrat Hashem, we should merit to see the coming of Mashiach with our own eyes. Amen. Should happen very speedy in our days. And Bezrat Hashem, each and every one of you should be part of the Geula, because unfortunately not necessarily that everybody will have the merit to see it with their eyes. They might be invited later, but you want to see it with your eyes. You want to see the Beit HaMikdash coming from Shamayim. Amen. Our ancestors and our parents and our grandparents were slaughtered for thousands of years, so we can stand here and see it with our eyes. And the Torah says that when Mashiach is going to come, the miracles we're going to see are much greater than the miracles that Bnei Israel saw when they left Mitzrayim. We're going to see much greater miracles. You can't even imagine what is waiting for us. So you want to make sure that you're standing front line, that you're part of it. There's no time. There's no time I can tell you, okay, in 15 years, just start working on yourself. No time. It's around the corner. Bezrat Hashem, we should see with our own eyes. It should happen very speedy in our days. Thank you very much to our gracious hosts for inviting us and opening their home. And thank you very much to the organizers. So, Bezrat Hashem, come and stand and thank everybody.